Hey, what's up, guys? It's Chris here from Chris's Sci-Fi Reactions. Today, here with a review of Series 1. When I say a review of Series 1 Red Dwarf, more likely my own personal thoughts about the first series. Um, Enjoyed it, but not as much as I thought I was going to. I think I set myself a little high. My expectations were a little high from what I heard about it, and I didn't really do what I did with Buffy or Stargate or any of the others that I react to, and I wasn't expecting it to be a bad, um, just an average season, I should say. I was thinking, oh man, there's so much hype about it. Yeah, the first season's going to be perfect, it's going to be 100%. That's sort of my own doing. I did that to myself in many ways. Um, yeah, so the first episode, which was very much, let's have a look here, the end. Really enjoyed it. Started off sort of with very much Lister and Rimmer and sort of learning about them. It didn't take long. We learnt that Rimmer wanted to become a very much an officer, a man of honor, as he calls it. So, yeah, then we find out Lister's sort of a bit more of the slob, the one that just wants to dick around doing practically nothing. Then we find out that like there's a radiation leak happens when Lister's in stasis for harboring a cat. Um, then we also go on to other episodes like Future Echoes, which I thought was really good. I'm a really big fan of like time travel sort of things. But this sort of brought a different aspect to it, with the time travel and the speed of light sort of thing. Uh, so it was less about, getting in a time machine, traveling back in time, and more about seeing events from the future. Obviously, Lister was quite disappointed with seeing his future of like an explosion being exploded. Okay, as I was saying, I just had to step out for a minute, but very much with Lister seeing himself explode in the future. We also then Rimmer was absolutely loving it, enjoying the fact that Lister was going to die, um, which was a bit of a sadistic thing to do, but Rimmer isn't exactly the nicest person. That being said, neither is Lister. Um, the cat obviously doesn't care what happens to either of them. He's very much a narcissist. Um, Wonderful dress sense, though. um, yeah, then we find out that it wasn't actually Lister, but it was his son, or one of his two sons, I believe, who we still haven't really got an idea of who they are, how that happened. Um, I'm guessing that we will see it in a series sometime, an episode. Although some shows do have a tendency just to ignore certain things, so I guess we'll just have to wait and see. I mean, you guys already know, but I don't. Then we had Balance of Power, where Rimmer is very much bossing Lister around and sort of using cigarettes as currency to keep Lister in line, which Lister obviously doesn't like. He then obviously decides to take the officers' exam, the chef's exam. I wasn't particularly fond of this episode. It wasn't the most exciting. It wasn't the best of the season. We then find out in episode 4 that Lister lied about passing his exam. Um, he also then is sort of reading books about God or the cat god. This one we really got to learn a lot about the cats, and I was grateful for that because till that episode, cat and what happened to the cats was really a bit of a mystery. It still is, but it did answer a few questions. Um, in that episode, Rimmer found a garbage pod, which he thought was some sort of alien pod. Rimmer's obviously obsessed with alien pods. And then we find at the end, during the credits, that he realizes, oh, it is a garbage pod, and that he looked like a fool to Lister. Then we had episode 5, Confidence and Paranoia. Lister contracts, a mutated virus, and he then starts to hallucinate things in solid form after basically being obsessed with Kachansky and going up to her quarters, even though it hadn't been decontaminated. That was not the best episode of the season. It was a bit slow. The confidence and paranoia also didn't really bring much to the episode and were in fact a little bit annoying. At least I found them annoying. You might have absolutely loved their characters, but I found them quite annoying. At the end of the episode, Confidence and Paranoia are both dead, and Lister's got what he thinks is Kachansky's hologram disc. Then he turns it on, and we find out it's a second Rimmer. In the final episode of the season, Rimmer basically has created a copy of himself, a perfect, what he calls basically, or what he thinks is a perfect companion. Basically, an completely identical duplicate to himself. That had some really funny moments in it, especially between each other. Chris Barry talking with his exact duplicate, I think created some really funny moments. We also learned that Rimmer said gazpacho soup at the end of his life. We found out that the reason he said that is that he was invited to the captain's table at some point while Lister was in quarantine, and he said to the chef to bring gazpacho soup back warm because he was unaware that it was supposed to be served cold. So am I. I've never had gazpacho soup myself, so I have no I had no idea that it was supposed to be eaten cold. All the officers were laughing at him, and that was the reason he didn't tell Lister is because he was afraid Lister would make gazpacho soup jokes all the time. In fact, at the end, he said, super, like in a joke sort of form to what he said. The second rumor ends up turned off. Yeah, and that's the 6 episodes. Already started season 2, episode 1, which is available on Patreon, and I'll upload that next week on YouTube on Friday. Hopefully, series 2 is better. that's not saying series one was bad. It's just not as good as I was expecting. I'm hoping series two, episode one, really funny, really enjoyed that. I'm hoping that it sort of stays to that same level in series two. I'll be happy about that if that's how it stays. Um, I think that's all basically. If you guys can tell me what you think of the first series of Red Dwarf, whether you like it or not, or whether it's as good as you think, or maybe you've changed your mind. Maybe you think it's not as good as you originally thought. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it a like, comment, subscribe. Red Dwarf full reactions are available on Patreon, including the first episode, I believe is free, that you can get on Patreon. When you access Patreon, you can go to Free of Access, I believe it's called, and there you'll see a list of different things that are free to access. And that's all for now. I will see you next time.